God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather together to worship you, to sing praises, to share in learning with children, to pray together. We thank you for our hearts to discern what you are calling each one of us to each day. And I pray that my words that I share will land in the places they need to land. Amen. So some of you, especially if you ever have sung with me, know that I like to use a little more expansive language around, especially around God, not always try to think about God as some big old guy sitting up in a chair somewhere, but that God is bigger than just our human imagination, that we think about that. I have lost the battle in the music land here. We just sing what the composer wrote, and sometimes you'll hear me singing my own words, especially at our final song, or other times. You feel free to sing whatever words that are important to you or pray the words that are important to you. And so we have changed from calling them like the three wise men or the three kings to the three wise ones. You might hear that somewhere. But I'll tell you, I know they were guys. And you know why? Because wise women would have asked for directions. They would have arrived on time. They would have helped deliver the baby, cleaned the stables, brought casseroles, and left with peace on earth. Oh, that was fun. All joking aside, this story is both beautiful and a little bit points to doom, just like the song we sang, We Three Kings. And normally I don't have us singing all the verses, but there wasn't anything I felt I could cut from that. Because while we've been through all the glorious Christmas, the new baby, the excitement of remembering what it means to hope and wish for a new life and new beautiful things, and to enjoy Christmas gifts, giving gifts and getting gifts and being with family, and all of the wonderful things that come with it, we know Easter's around the corner. And we know that in this story, these three wise ones, or however many wise ones, or whoever came from wherever, once they met with the political authorities, they heard God tell them to go home a different way. They knew that they were going to be followed. They knew that, Jesus was going to be found. We know that later, I don't know if this year we hit the story in the Bible, but Mary and Joseph become refugees to Egypt. They are told to leave their homeland and to go somewhere else. Presumably they've never been there, their family's not there, and they are there for some amount of time until there is some safety around their return. But in this story, so what I find so interesting about this story this week, do you guys like it when I come up with something new? I don't know. I like, it's so weird to stand up here and preach because you really don't know what y'all are thinking out there. But I love when I find, it feels juicy to me. It's so juicy that I kept having ideas all the way up until the time worship started. They came, they took their journey, they went on the road, the map told them the star they were guiding, back then, and there are still people who can navigate by stars, they navigated by the stars. And then they had to go back home, presumably pretty far. We're thinking this is far away. And they go a different way. I thought about how much this is like our life. How often do we think we know the way to get somewhere, and yet we either don't get there. Now, this can be literally like you get lost on your map, or if you live in Iowa, your GPS quits working. I'll tell you that happens out west too. There are not satellites picking you up every old which way. You still need a paper map. If you don't know what one of those are, seek an elder. That's what we have church for. It could be metaphorically in your life, like you think you're on this trajectory in life, and suddenly that's not where you're going. Whether it's your job, like you're not getting the promotion, you're not, the whole workplace has changed into something that you're not willing to be in anymore. Maybe your college plans didn't work out. There's so many ways in life that our journey ends up going a different direction. Anybody had that happen? Can I get an amen? Yeah, I get a lot of hands out here. I get a lot of amens and a lot of hands. Because that's how life is. I really like and resonate with this idea that somehow God speaks to us. We might not hear it in the moment. We might be able to look backwards and see like, oh, so these things fell in place in the midst of that crisis or that upset that I didn't really see at the time, but now I see that helped me get to this place. I've told many of you, you may have heard this, but not everybody, back probably like the first year of the pandemic, I had to figure out technology. This was the lady that called her son to tell her how to change the channel on the TV. We had to do everything different as church. We weren't meeting in person, we were meeting online, we had to learn Zoom, we had to teach you how to do Zoom, you know, all of the things. And I was exhausted by Easter that year, and I went to visit my auntie, and on the way home, somewhere south of Dubuque, I heard, because I thought, like, how can I keep doing this? This is just too much. And I heard somehow, you got 1,000,001 ideas, and you got a lot of bubbles. I did not feel bubbly at that time. Many days I do not feel bubbly, but I do have that in myself. And so I thought, okay, that's what I got right now for y'all. That's what I've been giving you for these last 5.5 years. Can you believe it? That's what I have for this journey, right? And so that wasn't what I was expecting. I didn't expect to live through a pandemic and be a pastor and all that, but my journey took a big old swing. And you all have journeys. And I look at this congregation and I see that we have a journey. We've always been on a journey to stand up for people who are being mistreated, who are in a dire situation, who need food. I'm going back over the history of the things I know about this church, right? All of the ways since the early 1800s, we have been on this journey to share God's love, quite frankly, in unexpected ways, right? It is not expected for a church to be completely open and affirming, that we love and accept everybody who comes here for whatever reason, as hard as it may be. We've been on an unexpected journey to all of a sudden be online. We were sent a completely different way home, weren't we? A couple months earlier when I suggested, like, maybe we should be online. Oh, no, we're not doing that. You know, here we are. Most of the people who find us now find us because we're online. Amen, back there in the corner. And so God had a plan, or God used this horrible situation in a way that we were willing to listen to, even if we didn't like it, and go with it. We had the suggestion to open up a tutoring program in this church. I, for one, thought, well, I don't know how that's going to work. You know, we barely have enough people to show up at church right now. And yet, look at this, we're in year 4. We could take more kids if we get more grown-ups. We have so many unexpected ways on our journey that God has continued to use us, that we have continued to turn to Jesus, this little baby, the bottom of that star, that has taught us over and over again how we can be love in the world, how we can resonate that spark of light all around us. I shared on Christmas Eve that I found out on my feed, my Facebook feed or my Instagram feed, whatever, the social media feed, there are some good things about it. I found out that when the sperm and the egg come together, there's literally a spark. The zinc in that reaction sparks, a spark of light from our very beginning. And we know where that spark comes from, don't we? That star, that love, that eternal whatever it is outside of us that is creation and is love. That light, that spark, that star is going to keep guiding us forward. I have said this since I started here. Church, the world has, well, I said it's changing. Now I'm just saying it has changed. The world has changed, church has changed. You talk to anybody in the church world, pastors, leadership, anything like that, the utter foundation of how that is all set up has crumbled. It is crumbling, it has crumbled. We do not have the same amount of support from the larger UCC that a pastor would have had 30 years ago. We don't have the staff, we don't have the finances, because it all comes back to the local church, which they're smaller, our giving is less, there's just not enough money to do it all, right? Except we keep doing it. We keep getting together to worship, to care for each other, to build community, and we are doing that here. I was on a phone call with Kendi Miller this past week, who is our associate conference minister, and I was just telling her about how great we're doing. Not that we care about attendance, but we do kind of care about attendance. What we bigger care about is engagement, and you all are engaged in our community, in each other, in sharing this love outside of this community, about working with the infrastructure of what it means to be Edwards, what our church is. It doesn't, you don't all have to know all the inner workings. You can know all the inner workings. We got no secrets here. We will show you anything you want to see. If you've come from someplace where that has not been the case and you feel like there's like secret stuff going on behind the doors or there's secret money or anything, hey, we are an open book here. But we also know everybody's got different gifts and skills, and some of you just don't really give a hoot about that. But you are more than happy to come help us set up communion. Awesome. It takes everybody to do this, and we will keep being us and doing us no matter what it looks like, okay? And this journey that we are on is going to take us all kinds of different ways. I have no idea. There's not any big message I got here other than hang on for the ride. Years ago, we had an interim, Becky David. She's like, you're on the roller coaster, pull down the headpiece, buckle up for the ride. Being in church from here on out, it's going to be a ride. And I am so excited. I think it's really fun. I don't really like real roller coasters with the real bumpy stuff. I'm not that much of an adrenaline freak, but I do love the idea that God is going to work this out, whatever it looks like. We have been working on this for years. Our building is rented out not 24/7, every day of the week. We never saw that coming. So there are going to be changes. We can just guarantee there will be changes. And yet, We can always follow the star. The star will always be above us. The light of God will always be in us. And we can bring that love to light no matter where our church journey takes us, no matter where your life journey takes you, whether you are more connected, less connected with the church, you can always find your way back home here. If you're somebody worshiping online and you're far away, I know that we can find ways for you to connect and engage more with our congregation. Go check out our website, send us a text, we'll find ways. We have Zoom meetings, Zoom Bible studies, lots of different ways to connect and engage so that your journey, no matter where it takes you, and no matter where you are on your journey, you're welcome here. Amen.